Alright, I'm making this build guide after a successful solo run on Mastery 2 difficulty where I completed it first try on stream. I'll link the VOD in the description and also my Twitch if you want to watch me do other interesting things in Far Cry live. If I've completed a solo run on Mastery 3, I'll probably also link that below too. First, I'm gonna try to hit level cap soon, which I think is 14. Right now I'm 13. Just to have a better chance at actually completing it on Mastery 3. It's rated for level 16 and 17, which I think means the enemies will always be stronger than level cap, right? So, gotta try to hit level cap first. If you didn't already know, the game lets you hot swap weapons in your arsenal, so you're not just stuck with the 4 guns you start the mission with. And learning from my run on Mastery 2, I'm going to change a few things for Mastery 3. First, I'm going to split the loadouts I use into 2 different parts. I'm going to have one loadout for getting the PG-240X device, and then another for when we have to defend the exfil site. Now the first build is going to be like a stealth and movement speed build, because we want to, be able to run quickly to the water sites. First, I'm going to start with the guns. In my first slot, I always take a sniper rifle. I think the SVD is the strongest rifle, since you can deliver one-shot kills to groups of enemies quickly. Mine is built with these attachments. So I use AP rounds, suppressor 6 to 10 times, laser pointer, and extra damage. So just to always be able to get those one-shot headshots and maybe one-shot body shots. I'll probably switch it off with the Mosin if it ends up not doing enough damage because the enemies are higher level. This is going to be my Mosin loadout here. It's basically the same thing, just improved damage. And then at this time I should also tell you the items and upgrades that I choose not to use. Like, I just won't use them regardless of their strength. I'll choose never to really use the poison rounds on principle, and I don't really care if they end up being super OP in the game. I just find the concept of like glass-tipped bullets with some kind of fast-acting neurotoxin that would get someone to turn their gun on their allies to be just like a step too far, a departure from reality for me to use in the game and not have the experience just feel kind of silly. I know the game's not meant to be hyper-realistic, but for the sake of my own personal experience, it just goes a bit too far for me and I just choose not to use it. I'll also choose not to use the vampire mod on guns because transfusion bullets are also a step too far outside reality for me to use. They do seem really strong though, and I would assume they would be recommended for high level content, but for me I just, still would choose not to use it. Alright, moving on. For my second slot, I'm going to bring the SKS with the, where is it here? With the soft target rounds. This is going to be the only soft target gun that I'm going to use. It's basically a sniper rifle in its own right. I find it useful to just have a gun for long range soft targets. For close range though, enemies die quick enough that I find it's more efficient just to run AP rounds on my other rifles, SMGs, and secondaries. In my third slot, I'll start off with the MP5 suppressed. And I bring the MP5 just because it's got a good balance of stealth and damage to clear groups with. I will alternate it with the Val should SMG ammo run too low, because the Val is internally suppressed and it is still a pretty decent choice. However, the thing's recoil is a little bit wonky, so if you're firing at a full auto it's sometimes hard to control, but it does have that internal suppressor to that, so you won't overheat the suppressor, so you'll always be silent with it. Although I don't feel like that's too big an issue for a gun like the MP5. Like, you're never really like overheating too much, right? So in my 4 slot, I run the 6P13 auto, and this really won't change for the whole run. It's just there as like a quick swap backup weapon, and it's unsuppressed. I keep it unsuppressed so that the recoil is actually manageable because I keep the compensator on it. I have considered running the deagle suppressed in this slot for like the pickup portion, but I find it's unnecessary because like all my other primaries do the job better. But the deagle does have very high damage, and it is still a pretty good option. Like, it's like a backup sniper, right? But I don't really feel like I need it. So if you don't have some like this gun, I guess you can use the deagle or like one of the snipers, right? For my Supremo, I stuck with the Medico the whole run. But I think for Mastery 3, I'm going to try something new. I'm going to try running the Gladiador for the first part, I think. Just because you get that movement speed when you use it, right? Like, just to get to the evac point quickly before swapping back to the Medico. I think the Medico is one of the strongest things in the game just because you get to self-revive. So just in case you die, your run just doesn't end, like you don't lose a life, which is nice. For my mods, right, I'm gonna use healing, flash grenades, and smoke grenades. This is basically just so that I can kind of move to the water pumps and not die, you know. I find the turret actually to be kind of useless. I used it in my Mastery 2 solo run, but I just find that it doesn't do enough damage and it dies too easily. And it also is single use, while like mines and clays, which I'm gonna bring, are gonna be more useful, I think. Like, they're multiple use, you're pretty much guaranteed kills when they go off. And then for the clothing, right? So this is the clothing I use. I use the baseball cap, Vaquero vest, prisoner pants, parkour kicks, and parkour strap. This is for the first part of the run. It's basically all just movement speed. For the wristband, I have considered swapping off the parkour strap for the Fuego mitts, because I did find that I was getting set on fire quite a bit trying to run through. But, you know, movement speed, like this giving more movement speed can kind of be useful, because there were a few moments where I just barely made the water pumps, right? So full movement speed might still be better. For defending the exfil site, I'm going to swap out my clothing though. It's basically just going to be all soft target. Where is that? Soft target Mark 2 is the thing. No, Mark 1? Mark 1. Yeah, soft target Mark 1. So this improves your defense when you're aiming down sights, just so you take less damage. I think this one I take Mark 2. Yeah, the boots I take Mark 2, which improves defense against soft target. I try to improve defense against soft target because I think the highest priority targets are going to be like the heavily armored guys who shoot soft target rounds, right? Those are guys that are going to be the more abundant enemy type. Soft target slacks for the... Where are they? Here. Soft target Mark 2 for the pants, which also improves soft target defense. And also for the chest. This chest piece is really good because it improves your defense against soft targets and armor piercing, which is really nice. And then finally for the headgear, I'm going to go for soft target again, improving soft target defense. I might consider changing the pants to the rider pants if I feel like I need more balanced protection, because this would switch it from soft target defense to AP defense. But it's probably not necessary, because the guys that shoot AP rounds are pretty easy to kill, right? Because they're softer. I don't feel like blast protection shouldn't be that necessary either, as movement will help you avoid most blast damage. Alright. Now for the fun part, the guns I'm going to switch out during the evac portion, the defend portion. First, one of the weapons that I'm going to use isn't even going to be a gun, it's going to be this recurve bow. Well, either bow really works, but I like using the recurve bow in this slot with the EMP arrows. This is basically one of the strongest weapons, I think. It's really useful to stun infantry with the small AoE, but I also found that the most useful thing it's against is vehicles, hands down. Helis take 3 rockets to kill, and tanks take 6, right? So if you're using the RPG or the AT4, it takes 6 shots to kill a tank. What the EMP does, it disables them immediately in 1 shot. They come back, but like Helis will stop shooting at you, and that's the important part. A disabled tank will also make for a very quick tank kill if you can get close, like I show in the end of my Mastery 2 solo run. I'm also considering swapping off to the M79 grenade launcher with smoke rounds. Not for damage, just for smokes during the sprinting portion of the run. I will also swap to the AT4 for tank kills, because you get 6 rounds with it, and that's enough to kill 1 tank. So that's pretty good. Like if you can't get down to kill it after EMPing it. I'll also use the La Sorpresa especially for Maceo, the Maceo level, because it's basically just like a mine layer, right, with this setup. It's occasionally good to swap to just to put those mines down. With this setup, it's really good versus infantry. It's not going to reliably one-shot vehicles though. And the only other resolver weapon that I'll use is maybe the El Muro, probably during the sprinting section, just for a little bit of extra survivability because of the shield. I don't think any of these other weapons are going to be super useful though. At least not the ones I've unlocked. I don't know what this thing does. And then for slot 2, I'm gonna swap to the SSGP 58, which is basically like my tryhard rifle. And I was using it suppressed in my Mastery 2 solo run, but this time for Mastery 3, I'm gonna set it with the compensator so it has very little recoil. And then in slot 3, I'm gonna switch my SMG to my MP7, which is like my other tryhard weapon, which I also used suppressed in my last run, but now I'm also going to switch it to a compensator, because with the compensator, the MP7 basically has no recoil. Yeah, so you'll notice that I set up all my guns with AP rounds. If I really need soft target, my backup is going to be to swap to the PPISH, or the PPSH. It's got very high fire rate and does decent damage, so you can clean up your soft target kill really quickly. But I probably won't need to use it because, like I said, like the soft target's still pretty easy to kill with AP rounds. If I start running out of ammo, I do have an LMG. I have the MG21. And this is the setup for it. Basically, all the mods I use are mainly going to be body shot and aimed weapon damage, just improved damage, right? Let's try to get more damage per shot. I don't have the MG42 unlocked yet. It might end up being better, but I don't have it. I'd only really use the LMG on Maceo though, and not on Mesozoico, because you need to sprint a lot on Meso while you can kind of hunker down on Maceo. And if you need to sprint all, you don't really want to carry an LMG. Oh, I'll also use the shotgun, the RMS-18, if I really start running out of ammo or if the situation requires it, right? It's a very strong shotgun. It's capable of shooting in 3-shot bursts. I keep it suppressed so that I can use it during infil or exfil if I need to or if I want to. The suppressor actually keeps cool during the whole burst, which is really nice. So you won't go loud if you suddenly need to burst out the 3 shots. And I think that's it. It's a pretty quick rundown. Oh, and for my campsite buff, right now I'm using extra gadgets. Probably is a good one, right? I'm getting like 13, I think I had. I'm getting like 13, 14 gadgets, which is a lot. Get to throw out a lot of flashes. And that's my whole loadout. Hopefully you found this helpful, and if you want to watch me take on these solo challenges, come follow me on Twitch. I play with minimal HUD with no enemy tagging, so it's both more immersive for me and also more difficult. Yeah, alright, thanks for watching.